Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cyril Lemaire from Quest Travel Adventures and Turismo de Tenerife, the Tenerife Tourism Board. And today we're going to be talking about this magical island in the Canary Islands, the island of Tenerife, also known as the Island of Eternal Spring. Now, before we get started, a few housekeeping issues. If I could ask everybody to put yourselves on mute. Not to disrupt anybody, today's session's going to be approximately 30 minutes long. We're going to be going through a few things about the island, largely where the island's located, what there is to do on the island, and some of the accommodations as well that we're going to be featuring, mainly three properties: the Hotel Botanico, the Sheraton La Caleta, and the Ritz-Carlton Abama, three of the top resorts on the island. And after that presentation, we'll be having an open question and answer period. So if I could ask everyone to keep your questions until the tail end of the presentation, at which point you'll be able to enter them in the chat window. Now, a little bit about Tenerife. Tenerife is a volcanic island. It is the largest of the 7 Canary Islands. And what you're looking at here is the view of the crown jewel of the island, which is called Mount Teide. We'll be talking about Mount Teide, but this is from the northern part, looking also on the right-hand side into the beautiful valley of La Orotava. Now, a little bit about the Canary Islands. They are a group of islands located just off the western coast of Morocco, about 80 miles off Morocco. Tenerife and the 7 islands are part of Spain, so it is part of Europe. It falls as a department of Spain, so the currency is the euro, and it's really easy to get there. It is about a 3-hour flight from mainland Spain, with daily flights from all of the major Spanish cities, including Madrid, Barcelona, Sevilla, as well as many other airports throughout the rest of Europe. In fact, there are 180 points of connectivity into the island of Tenerife, and it's easiest to get there from the United States, either through Spain, through Madrid, or through Heathrow in London. And we are hoping to establish direct flights in the end of 2018 from the eastern seaboard, either out of New York City or Newark Airport. The island has very sophisticated infrastructure because of the fact that the island gets 6 million travelers a year. It is one of the top destinations for European vacationers. It's basically considered the Caribbean for the European vacationers from France, UK, Spain, and the rest of Europe. And because it gets so many travelers, they have a great road infrastructure. They have a 4-lane highway that goes all the way around the island. They have a great medical infrastructure as well. They do have a university teaching hospital, as well as in the main capital city of Santa Cruz. They have a very sophisticated urban infrastructure with these rail trams as well. Now, what you're looking at here is the southwestern view off of the island, the Costa Deje area, and this is one of the top resorts on the island. And what you're seeing in the background in the sunset is the neighboring island of La Gomera. Now, the great thing about the island is that it is perfect weather with 75 to 80 degree temperatures year-round from January, April, November, all the way throughout the year. There's no hurricane season, there's no rainy season. It's really the perfect temperature year-round. And because it's so arid, it's a great location to enjoy a whole bunch of outdoor activities, as well as all the cultural and cultural activities and festivals that go on throughout the year. Now, of course, as an island, there are some magnificent beaches on the island. The island is really separated into two different sections. Even though it's a small island that allows you to go from, all the way around the island in about 2.5 hours, 3 hours, or go from the northern end to the south, both those areas, the north and the south, are very, very different. The north is much more lush, tropical, and green, whereas the south is much drier with beautiful white sand beaches, as you see here, with very fine sand. Whereas in the north, you have a lot more of the black sand volcanic areas. And my elevator pitch for the island and why you should go and why you should bring your travelers there is, if you can imagine any place that you would want to travel to and things to do on your vacation, we can guarantee it that you can do it here on the island of Tenerife. If you can imagine a combination of three of my top destinations, if you can take the volcanic landscapes, beaches, top resorts, and lusciousness of Maui, combined with the port-like feel, Spanish colonial heritage and architecture, food and wine of Barcelona, and combine it with the nature reserves, beaches, and marine parks of Costa Rica, all in one little island, well, that's what you have on this magical island of Tenerife. What you're looking at here is a phenomenon that occurs every night on the island, and it is called the Sea of Clouds. And what you're looking at is the shadow at sunset of the island and of the volcano, which is called Mount Teide. It's a 12,000 foot high volcano. It is the tallest mountain in Spain, the tallest volcano in Europe, and it is also one of the two UNESCO World Heritage sites on the island. You can go to the summit here by driving into Las Canarias National Park. As you ascend into the park, you're going to go through different microclimates. There are 4 different microclimates on the island, each that contain very unique geological rock formations, as well as different fauna and flora. And when you get to the altitude of about 9,000 feet, you can park your car and take a cable car to the very top of the summit. And this is where you are locating here. Now, one of the reasons Las Canarias National Park is the #1 destination for tourists is because it is home to more than 800 species of unique fauna and flora that can only be found in the Canaries. And this is one of the examples of one of my favorite flowers that you can only find in the Canary Islands. And this is one of the flowers that comes in red. It also comes in blue, and it also comes in white. And these flowers are about 6 feet tall and really fantastic, pretty much grow year-round as well. And as you're hiking or walking or driving through the park, you'll be sure to see these on the side of the road. Now, on the one of the highlights of Mount Teide National Park, it is that it is also home to the NASA and European Space Agency solar observatories. And it is known as the second best place on Earth for stargazing. And this image is not Photoshopped. This is an actual photo of Mount Teide at night, where you can actually see stars and galaxies and constellations like you can't see anywhere else on the planet. And you can not only visit this and see this yourself with the naked eye, but one of our favorite activities that we can help with our guides at Quest Travel Adventures is to do a sunset with the stars excursion, where we pick you up in a private car with private transfers in the afternoon, approximately 4 o'clock. We take you into the park and take you to see the highlights and observatories throughout the area. And we take you up to the summit with a cable car, bring you back down for a tapas dinner with a Michelin chef, and then we take you outside with a licensed astronomer and a series of telescopes where you can gaze all these new constellations and view the planets as well. Now, one of my favorite activities is for families. And not only is this a great destination for couples, honeymooners, and individuals looking for someplace that's a little bit more unique and different than maybe what they've experienced in the Caribbean or in Mexico. And what you have is two of the top theme parks in the world. The first one is called CM Park, and it's been ranked as the #1 water park in the world by TripAdvisor for the last 3 years. It was built in a Thai-themed architecture by the builders associated with the King of Thailand. And the owner of that park also owns a second park on the northern end of the island called Loro Park, which has been rated also by TripAdvisor as the #1 zoo in the world, ahead of the San Diego Zoo. In addition to all these theme parks, one of the fun activities that you can do is to go whale watching and dolphin watching. There are more than 24 unique species of dolphins and pilot whales right off the coast. And they're there year-round. They are not migratory animals. They're there because the waters just outside of the ports are almost 12,000 feet deep, so very, very deep waters. And as a result, the pilot whales, the dolphins, and in some cases the blue whales as well, come through there all the time. The island is also home to adventure sports junkies. Now, the island has pretty much every adventure sport activity that you could possibly dream of, ranging from paragliding, as you can see here, to kite surfing, where they held the World Championships last year. There's also cave exploration and lava tube explorations. Lots of great adventure activities, including cycling. And one of the little known facts is that Mount Teide and Tenerife is home to many of the Tour de France cyclers during the spring and early summer, because they're training for the Tour de France. Because it is very dry and perfect weather, again, year-round, it makes it a perfect home to go out and explore new cycling routes and locations. In the southern part of the island, there is also an area called Los Gigantes. Now, Los Gigantes means the giants, and these are a set of volcanic cliffs that are 3,000 feet high, that jolt, as you can see here, right out of the water. And they're on the southwestern coastline for about 5 kilometers. And you can explore them either by catamaran. We often do catamaran sunset cruises that take you through there. Great way to spend an afternoon with your friends or your family. You can also explore them via motorboat. You can explore them via paddleboard, as you can see here, or you can kayak through them as well. And if you're a little bit more adventurous, you can also start from the top, at the top of the cliffs, and take a 3-hour hike down Los Gigantes to a cove, a beach cove, where you can get picked up by water taxi and brought back to port. One of my favorite activities, and definitely worth doing and exploring, as it is really quite a unique experience. Now, for nature lovers, the other unique area is in the northern part of the island. There is another national park called Taganana National Park. And as I mentioned before, the northern part of the island is much more green, much more lush, much more tropical. And what's unique about this forest, it is home to one of the few forests that contains prehistoric rhododendron trees and also giant fern trees, as you see here. Again, this is not photoshopped. This is live scale. As you can see, the lady photographer looking out the coastline and taking pictures with these giant rhododendron trees just above her and these ferns. Isn't that just magnificent? Now, in fact, there's also going to be in May of this year the Tenerife Walking Festival. And for those of you who have clients that are into nature and into walking, this is going to be a 4-day event where people will be able to go and take different routes, both in Mount Teide National Park, including the volcanic route, but there will also be escorted hikes through Taganana National Forest, through the Green Route, as well as throughout the coastline, where you can explore little villages, as well as some of the resorts on the island. Of course, as any major resort would have, there are 8 different golf courses on the island of all different levels of challenging and difficulty. And what's unique about the courses on the island is that because the island is an old banana plantation and still is actually a major source of economic activity for the island, throughout the island there are landscapes with volcanic terraces, these black vault terraces, as you can see in the bottom left-hand corner. And that's very unique and adds a lot of character to not only to the various courses on the island, but wherever you're walking around as well. The second UNESCO World Heritage Site is the capital city, the old capital city of La Laguna. La Laguna is very unique in that it is the old footprint and the basis for many South American capitals, including Santiago, Chile, and Havana in Cuba. And what you're looking at is the old clock tower. And what's unique about La Laguna is that, as I mentioned, it is a university town, so it has a lot of young students. It's got a really energetic vibe with a town square right below the clock tower where you can enjoy tapas, you can enjoy wine tasting, but you can also enjoy lots of unique South American and Spanish architecture. And because the island used to be the last go-between for the European settlers back in the 15, 16, and 1700s, the island has developed a range of cultures and a combination of both the Spanish culture as well as the South American and Peruvian culture, both in terms of architecture, but as well in food and gastronomy as well. Another little known fact is that Tenerife is home to the second largest carnival behind Rio de Janeiro. This is held every February, and the picture you're looking at is the Carnival Queen from a couple years ago, where all of the famous designers throughout the Canary Islands come together and create unique dresses where one lucky lady gets named as the Carnival Queen. And this is one of the highlights of the island every February. So if you or your clients are thinking of trying to visit the island during Carnival, we would recommend to plan early, as the hotel space does sell out quickly. In addition to the Carnival, the island is also home to a number of other different festivals throughout the year, and cultural festivals. And this is called the Romerias. And the Romerias are held every Saturday from June through September. And what they are is all of the different old towns, the Spanish colonial towns, both in the north and the south of the island, compete with one another with folklore dancing. As you can see here, all of the locals get dressed in local traditional Canarian dress. They sing local Canarian songs, and they also have a competition with sand art. Now, because Mount Teide is a volcano, and there are many different colors of volcanic sand, including red, yellow, oranges, and even purples, the local artists come together and in each town, each Saturday, create these giant murals, sand art murals. And then at the end of the festivals of the Romerias, there is one town that is selected as the winner for having the best sand art mural. In the capital city of Santa Cruz, which is the big port town very similar to Barcelona, lots of activities to choose from, and this is the amphitheater that is very similar in look to what may resemble the Sydney Opera House, and that's because it was designed by the same architect. And there are concerts, there are exhibitions, and there are special venues that go on year-round in Santa Cruz. So it's definitely worth an afternoon day trip. If you're staying in the southern part of the island, definitely worth checking out Santa Cruz and La Laguna, as they are the new and the old capital of the island. Now, for those of you who are like me and are foodies, look no further, because Tenerife is home to some phenomenal foods. As I mentioned, there are a lot of different influences, not only from southern Spain tapas influences, but also South American Peruvian flavors and spices. Something that's pretty unique to the island are the honeys, as you can see in the background here. Now, as I mentioned, there are over 800 species of fauna and flora, which is why the honeys on the island are particularly unique and particularly flavorful. But you also have the local Manchego cheeses. You have the jamon, the Iberian jamon that Spain is well known for. And there are also lots of other unique restaurants all throughout the island. You've got a lot of different seaside restaurants where, of course, you have very fresh fish. And there are also all throughout the resorts different types of restaurants that you can find that will serve the potatoes, the local potatoes that they have. They have over 200 different unique species of black potatoes, white potatoes, red potatoes that they serve with a local sauce called the mojo sauce. And there's a red mojo sauce that's made with garlic, oil, and red chili peppers. And then there's also a green mojo sauce, which is made with garlic, oil, and cilantro, both of which are outstanding and go very well with fish, with the potatoes, with bread, or anything else that you may have on the island. And there are, of course, as well, many unique dishes. And this is the braised pork dish with fresh thyme, a little bit more hearty for those of you who like meat dishes a little bit more, but some great flavors. And of course, the wines. Now, one little unknown fact about Tenerife is that it is home to two grape varieties that are unique to the Canaries, and that is the white Listan Bianco and the red Listan Negro. And the white is very similar to a combination of a Sauvignon Blanc, maybe mixed in with a Chenin Blanc. It's dry, refreshing, and great drink in the summer. Whereas the reds are much more rich, much more tanniny, go well with meat, game, and a little bit kind of a hybrid between the Tempranillo grape and a Syrah. Both of which have won a number of different awards worldwide. These grape varieties are unique in that they got wiped out in the 1800s in mainland Europe during the phylloxera epidemic, but because the Canary Islands are located in the middle of the Atlantic, off the west coast of Africa, the phylloxera epidemic never made it there, and these grape varieties survive and today thrive and continue to win awards. In fact, there are many different wineries to choose from on the island, and some of the excursions that we offer is an afternoon tour of 3 or 4 different wineries, including Bodega Monje and Bodega Frontas, both of which are award-winning wines. This is the view of Mount Teide, and as you can see from the north, you've got all these different types of vegetation, and really it's a magnificent place to spend at least a full day, either on your own or with an escorted guide, as it is a very large park. It represents 50% of the surface area of the island. And even though there are lots of clearly marked walking trails and biking trails, we do recommend going with a guide, especially if you're interested in hiking to the summit. Now, another little known fact is that the Tenerife is home to more 4- and 5-star resorts than Madrid and Barcelona combined. In fact, the owner of the CM Park and Loro Park is also owner of Hotel Botanico. It has been ranked as the #1 spa in Europe, and is very well known for having phenomenal suites, as you can see here, that overlooks Mount Teide National Park. And this is where President Clinton and Michael Jackson stayed when they came to the island back in the 1990s. And it is also one of the top destinations for weddings and honeymoons. Now, another one of our favorite hotels is the Sheraton La Caleta. Sheraton La Caleta is a 5-star resort. It is on the southwestern part of the island. It is a family-friendly resort with 2 freshwater pools and 1 saltwater pool. It has beautiful views, sunset views over La Gomera. And it also has some club terrace suites as well for you and your clients that are looking for something a little bit more special and a little bit more exclusive. Of course, it has many, many different properties in terms of restaurants to choose from, including the El Parador. And it also has a phenomenal spa that for you ladies and your clients that are looking for spa getaway, either the Hotel Botanico, as I mentioned, is the #1 spa in Europe, is ranked by Condé Nast in 2018, or the Sheraton, or the Ritz-Carlton Obama that we'll be talking about in a second. And the Sheraton is also a great resort for those of you who have clients with young children. There's a very, very friendly kids club there, and it really is a phenomenal resort. There is also the Ritz-Carlton Obama, and this is the view of of the island of La Gomera. As you can see, it's quite the landscape. It is what we consider to be the top resort on the island, along with another hotel called the Baja del Duque. But what's nice about the Ritz-Carlton is that it has a private beach, which is stunning. And it is also home to a combination of different both rooms. It has 313 rooms in the main building complex called the Citadel. But it also has private villas, the Tagore villas and the Tagore suites, both that are adult only and family friendly. And it is also home to a 2-star Michelin restaurant on property that is quite unique and definitely something to explore and to make a reservation for if you or your clients are celebrating a special occasion. Of course, that has all of the different amenities. It has multiple restaurants, but it also has 3 different lobby bars. It has the Cubanica, that is the location just outside of the pool deck. It also has a lobby bar, and for those of you who are really interested in the latest and greatest on how your sports teams are doing, it of course also has a sports bar. In addition to the golf, it has a phenomenal tennis facility. It has 6 hard-true courts that you can reserve. And for the golf, we recommend if you're going to be taking a course and playing golf on the course, please be advised that it is a very challenging course, and it is some courses are easier on the island, but this is one that we would recommend only if you are a scratch golfer. We do have a number of different itineraries, since Quest Travel Adventures is and has been the official office of representation for Turismo de Tenerife and an extension of the tourism board for North America. We do provide itineraries where you will receive 12% travel agent commissions. And these itineraries include 4- and 5-star hotels, depending on the price point of your clients. All breakfasts are usually included in all of the European hotels, but we can arrange as well for transfers and obviously all of the tailored excursions up to Mount Teide, to La Laguna, to Los Gigantes, to the Orotava Valley, as well as to the neighboring islands of La Gomera. And if you're interested in also taking another island hop to the other neighboring islands of Lanzarote or Gran Canaria, we can certainly arrange for that as well. We do recommend either 4-day travel, 4-day itineraries. The 4-day itineraries are a great option for people that are already in Europe and trying to spend a few extra days with some fun in the sun. But we also recommend 7-day and 9-day itineraries. That is everything you have in the 4-day, plus additional time to explore on your own. And what we recommended was the Sunset with the Stars dinner as well. And for a limited time only, through March 31st of this year, we're going to be offering another promotion for $200 off per person off of 2018 and 2019 travel. And when you call in, just mention that you attended this webinar, and we'll cross-reference you to confirm, to confirm your attendance, and you'll receive this special discount. So right now I'll open it up to questions. Again, if you can type in questions into the chat box. The first question is, what side of the road do they drive on? Good question. Well, because it is part of Spain and part of Europe, they all drive on the right-hand side. It is not a UK territory. It's not a British territory. As I mentioned, it is Spanish. So everyone can drive on the right side. All of the road signs are very clearly marked, easy to understand. And because the island gets more than 1 million of its 6 million travelers that are UK tourists, pretty much everyone on the island speaks English. So have no fear, you don't need a translator. It's really easy to get around and to navigate the island. Another question is the airport. How do you get there? So there are two different airports on the island, and the airport codes are TFN for Tenerife North and TFS for Tenerife South. You can also type in TFC, which is the default, and it'll check both airports at the same time. But again, we recommend connecting either through Madrid and or Heathrow. Let's see, another question. What are the ocean temperatures like? Great question. So one thing to keep in mind is that this is not the Caribbean. It is the Atlantic. And because of that, it is relatively chilly waters. It is water temperatures that is in the high 60s to low 70s. So, if you do have clients, even though it is mild climate and in the high 70s and low 80s year round, the water temperature can occasionally be a little bit chilly, unless some of you are like us from New England. Another question is, can you please recommend some all-inclusive resorts? Sure. One thing to note is that the island is not really like the Caribbean or Mexico in that a lot of the resorts that we mentioned, the Botanico, the Sheraton La Caleta, and the Ritz-Carlton Obama, even though they do have meal packages, most of the resorts there are not all-inclusives, and that's because it's the type of island that is easy to go out and explore. You have a number of different restaurants within a couple of 100 yards of walking distance from any and all of the major resorts. And the food there is, as I mentioned, outstanding. So, it's the type of island that is extremely safe. It is very easy to get around. It's very easy to order. And because of that, we typically recommend that our clients steer away from the all-inclusive resorts. Now, if you do have some clients that are dead set on the all-inclusive resorts, we do have some options, including the Iberostar properties that have some all-inclusive packages. They work a little bit differently than they do in the Caribbean and in Mexico, but we can tell you a little bit more about that if you call us on our main switchboard, which is 1-800-693-1815. Again, that's 617. 8-1-800-693-1815. Let's see, any other questions? Okay, here's a question about golf. Approximately, what's the average cost of a golf? So, as I mentioned, there's 8 different courses. So it really depends on the type of course that you're looking to play. I'd say on average, you should be looking at about 125 euros for golf carts and fees. That's approximately $155 for a round of golf. And you can arrange to rent golf clubs there, and that's not a problem at all. But it is a little bit more expensive than what you might find in the United States, just because it is a holiday destination. And as many of you know, the golf courses in Europe are not as well known and not as accessible as they are here, and it is considered a luxury sport. Another question here from Stacy. What's the best time to travel, and any times of travel that we should avoid? Great question. So my favorite time to travel is in the summertime. In the summertime, it's very easy to get to. There are a lot of, there's all the activities and all the vibes are there. The busiest time of year is going to be during your school holidays. So from Christmas to New Year's is a very busy time. The Carnival, the last 2 weeks in February are the second busiest time. And April school vacation and Easter vacation for the Europeans is also a popular time. So during those 3 times of the year, there are seasonal rates that go up. So the room rates are a little bit more expensive than what you'll find in the summer. And typically the most affordable and the low season for them is in the October and November timeframe. And that's actually one of the best times to travel because you have fewer people. The weather is still outstanding as it is year round, but in the October and November, it's still extremely warm. And because you don't have the hustle and bustle of the tourists, you typically have a little bit more of a calm island type of feel. And I'm not seeing any more questions. Feel free to type any more questions. We'll wait a couple seconds. Nope, not seeing anything come through. Okay, well, if that's the case, again, my name is Cyril Lemaire at Quest Travel Adventures. You can find us and more information on the island at www.traveltotenerife.com or call us at 1-800-693-1815. And remember, we do offer the 12% travel agent commissions and have that special promotion through the end of March. We thank you for joining today and look forward to serving you and your clients on our magical island. Thank you.